All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to our final session, our final keynote. Let me see, I have a couple things to tell you. One, we have, and you should all have in your hands, the feedback form. So please fill that out before you're done with this particular presentation. It'll help us get Affiliate Summit better year over year. And the other thing to tell you is that our speaker will be taking business cards during the Q&A session, if you'd like, because he's going to be raffling off some of these books for free. He'll be doing some signing in the back as well. But I should be getting onto the introduction now. This guy's amazing. He's spoken here a number of times and spoken elsewhere on conversion management. He's literally written the book on conversion optimization. He is the founder of a company called Site Tuners and a conversion conference, and from what I hear, he is a hell of a salsa dancer for a white guy. So please give a nice warm welcome to our friend, Tim Ash. Thank you.
Good morning, Las Vegas. Okay, that was a test. Okay, some of you still think it's morning and you responded to that? Scary. Okay, who stayed out past midnight? Okay, keep your hand up past 1 o'clock. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my God, you guys are scary. Okay, got to learn to pace yourself. That's one thing I learned in my old age. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about something that will blow your mind. Now, what I mean by that? I mean it literally. I'm going to explode your concepts about what your mind is and how you should do your job. That's a pretty tall order, right? Now, before I do, I want to thank Missy and Sean for having me here. The first time I spoke was in Boston. What year was that? Anybody in Boston? It was 2008. There were maybe 300-400 people at that event, and now it's 6,000. Wow. Between 5 and 6, I mean, okay, so you don't have to be honest. I mean, I know you're an honest guy, but you can say, yeah, getting there. These guys are basically have made this industry and really served as the glue to put everything together. So you guys have no idea. I run a conference, how much work goes into putting these together. Let's give a big round of applause to Sean and Missy. Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity to speak. So I promised you guys that I would blow your mind, so I'm going to start with the weather update. This is where I was born. Today it was 19 degrees in Moscow, Russia. And when I got on the bus to go to the poker tournament yesterday, these were the freezing fountains in front of Caesar's Palace. A 4-degree difference. I think I'm doing something wrong. I'm going back to San Diego tomorrow, okay? No offense. Ladies, by the way, I applaud your dedication and your fortitude for wearing those really skimpy mini dresses. We all appreciate it. I know it was, hard work on your part, but thank you. You all look great. All right, with that, I just want to give you a quick minute just so you understand what my perspective is and where I'm coming from. Our agency, Site Tuners, is based in San Diego, and we will help companies improve the efficiency of your website or your landing page. We don't care how you get the traffic there. We just care about getting people to act once they get there. And there are a number of ways we do that. One is to help you redesign websites, either putting lipstick on the proverbial pig or blowing it up and starting over. We'll give you a blueprint for a high-converting site. We can also help you test different versions of your content to see what your audience prefers. And finally, we're finding a lot of companies that say, we can't outsource that conversion rate optimization stuff. It's really at the heart of what we do. So can you teach us to fish? Can you train our internal optimization team? So we do that as well. Okay, enough of that. That's my VP of sales said I had to put this up. All right, this is what I'm here to talk about. We're going to do a 4-part story, and at the end we'll do a Q&A and the book raffle, like I said. Part 1, split personalities. Who has a split personality? Okay, there's medication for that now, sir. Yes. No, I'm joking aside. And please, if I say something politically incorrect, as Sean reminded me, it can't be any worse than Gary Vaynerchuk's keynote, so just, put it in context. Too bad for you. All right, split personalities. How many of you know that you have 2 hemispheres to your brain? Okay, this is them. Left and right, logical and creative, right? I mean, it's vastly oversimplified. And in fact, there's this vast information highway of connections between the two. But you know what this is? This is an example of extreme bias. Do you know why? Anybody? We're looking at it from the top. We're looking at it from the top of the head. And I'm here to put everything and turn it upside down because the important stuff isn't at the top of the head. It's a little more complicated. This is what the inside of your head actually looks like. There's the gray matter, the big, neocortex, the left and right hemispheres. We've cut them apart for you. Inside is hiding this other thing. It's called your mammalian brain or your midbrain. And I'll talk about each of these. And below that is the brainstem. Now, these are kind of evolutionary band-aids, one on top of another. Pretty much all animals have the reptilian brain. All the mammals have a mammalian brain. And only some of us kind of ape-like creatures that drop the tail get the big upfront part. Okay? So far, so good? What does the logical part do, the big part of the brain? That's the Mr. Spock part. Well, Captain, I calculate the probability of our survival at 2.73%. Okay, that's what the reasoning brain does, right? And we all aspire to be reasonable people. Who wants to be thought of as unreasonable in this room? No, we all want to be reasonable people, right? We want to be predictable. We want to be straightforward. We want to be, methodical. We want to be logical. We don't make irrational decisions. Anybody in here make irrational decisions? Okay, well, good. Okay, at least we have some honesty. This is like, a self-help group for affiliate marketers. The midbrain feels. That's its job. That's what separates us from other lower types of animals. We feel emotions. I like something, I don't like it, I have an emotional reaction to it. That emotion is very closely tied to how we remember. Did you know that multisensory perceptions in the presence of really strong emotions help you remember things? Now that was a very conceptual thing I just said. Ah! Okay, you're going to remember that, am I right? That provoked probably a pretty extreme emotion. Who's hungover and that really hurt? Okay, all right, just testing. But the reason I did that is you won't forget that. That involved senses, and it involved an emotional reaction that I got out of you. Okay, you can tell this isn't going to be one of those keynotes, right? All right, now let's talk about the lower brain. Who's seen 300, the movie? About the Spartans that defended the pass at Thermopylae? That is your reptilian brain at work. The only thing it cares about is survival. Keeping the lights on. Do you have to think about breathing at night? Your heart beating at night? When you touch a hot stove, do you have to think, perhaps I should remove that finger? No, right? These things are pretty much automatic, and I'll talk about this. But the reason that this is all important is we're finding out from the latest in neuroscience and neuromarketing research that 95% of your decisions are made pre-consciously. 95%. And we think, well, no, I reasoned that out and I thought about it and everything else. You know what actually happened? You made a decision, your mind made it, I can see it on brain scans, and then a second or two later, you consciously realized you made the decision and went about rationalizing it and justifying it. The decision had been made already. That's how it works. So the thing that you need to take away from part 1 of our story is that the brain is an evolutionary collage. The survival stuff was necessary. Okay, that emotional stuff kind of helped. And now the thinking and reasoning, well, okay, we have a guy that just jumped with a parachute at a height of 100,000 feet. Couldn't have done that without the thinking part. Of course, he was totally working off his reptilian brain, but nobody could have designed that whole thing, put a man on the moon, built a microwave oven. None of that could have happened without the thinking brain. But that's a relatively recent addition, and it's not the important part. So you have three brains. The brainstem reacts and tries to survive. The limbic system feels and remembers things, and the logical brain plans things. So far, so good? Now we're going to get down to the brainstem and talk about the lizard brain, the reptilian brain, the survival brain, because that's the one that matters, folks. Let me tell you about this brain. It's lazy. It doesn't like to work. How many of you have driven to work and not known how you got there because you were thinking about something else the whole way? Right? It's scary when you think about the 1,000 decisions you have to make every second not to end up wrapped around a tree or killing somebody, right? In a car hurtling down the road with a lot of kinetic energy. And you did that completely, literally, on autopilot. You know why? Thinking is expensive. The default mode is don't think. The default, you know that this brain, these 3 pounds in here, burn 30% of your resting calories. That's expensive stuff. You have to put a skull around it. You have to have a perfectly temperature-controlled environment. Did you know that if your brain goes up by 1/10 of a degree, you fry it? Which is why high fevers are a problem, because that blood circulating through your body at 4 or 5 degrees higher can't be cooled fast enough to not fry your brain. But it's a really, really carefully controlled environment. And it's expensive to use it. So the default is, don't. We're lazy. The reptilian brain is very, very lazy. It likes simple choices. And I mean obvious stuff. Really, really simple. Big dog, little dog. Really, really obvious contrasting stuff. It's very, very impatient. It's scanning the environment for threats, primarily. That's its mode, okay? Okay, that's not a threat. Is this a threat? I don't know. I'm looking around. Very, very impatient. And finally, it's automatic. And I can't stress this enough. The reptilian brain doesn't learn. The reptilian brain will do the same thing. Like, you ever been in a doctor's office and they use that little rubber mallet to test your reflexes on your knee? Well, try holding that knee still when they whack it. You can't. That's a reflex action. That's your reptilian brain. It does things automatically. It doesn't change the program. That thing worked. It's hardwired in. It helped your survival. And you don't need to change it because it works most of the time. Good enough. So what matters to the reptilian brain? I'm going to give it to you. It's the 4 Fs. Who's heard of the 4 Fs before? It's not 4H. This is the 4 Fs. Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? Okay. I'll go into it. If I'm looking at the environment, the first reaction I'm going to consider is run away. Okay? Because, hey, why deal with it at expending even more energy than that? Because my alternative is kick its ass. Right? Fight. So we can have flight, fight. You've heard of those two, but there are a couple more. Kick its ass is not always an option. Although if it is, then this is a good follow-up. Eat it. Right? We survived on the open savanna. Our ancestors at least did. I don't know about you couch potatoes, but I watch reality TV more than I exercise, right? But back in the day, we were walking an average of 10 miles. We're going along in group hunting packs going, okay, let's follow these gazelle. Oh, that one looks a little scrawny. Let's get it. Okay? And then we can eat. Otherwise, we don't get to eat. So feeding is very important. And finally, who knows the 4th F? Freeze? No, it's not the 4th F. You know this F very well. Hey, I'm going to drop a Gary Vaynerchuk on you. It's fornication. I'm holding back, Sean. I just want you to know this is taking a lot of effort. Okay, fornication. Is someone a potential mate? And, you know, in the Highlands of Scotland, this goes to extremes, you know, where sheep are considered potential mates, but that's another story. The 4 Fs. So this sign right here is the scariest sign in the world to your to your reptilian brain, with the one caveat that it doesn't know how to read. Okay, but if it could read this sign, change ahead would be really scary. So I'm going to give you an insight into how you operate most of the time. So we're talking about the reptilian brain. This isn't some abstract shit. This is you, okay, and here's how you operate. This is how the reptilian brain works. First, you go, is it dangerous? Okay, if it is, I need to deal with it. All right, no, it's not dangerous. Great. Is it interesting or novel? Have I seen this before? Oh, yeah, it's the same old thing. Right? The first 50 times, for example, that Gary Vaynerchuk swears in his keynote, it's novel. The 51st time, it's not anymore. Okay, so it kind of loses its luster. And you go, yeah, it's just Gary being Gary. I don't know why I keep talking about Gary in my own keynote. Okay, anyway. But is it novel? Is it interesting? Have I seen this before? And if the answer is no, I mean, yes, I've seen it before, then ignore it. But if it's novel, then explore it. Do you see? You have to get past these two drop-offs, these big drop-offs. Is it a threat? Is it a threat? And is it interesting? Before you even kick it upstairs. So how many of you have heard of the sales funnel? Okay, what are the rest of you doing in online marketing? You haven't heard of the sales funnel? Okay. Pull it up on Wikipedia. Come on. Okay, it's been around for over 100 years. Awareness, interest, desire, action. Okay. Anyway, but this is the real sales funnel. The way to think about it is your reptilian brain is like that dude that was at the Hard Rock yesterday in front of the poker room. This dude. Okay? You know what his job is? To keep shit out. So this is the real sales funnel. At the top, the big brain is really your brain stem. It's making all these bouncer decisions. If you make it through to the midbrain, to the emotional part of your brain, you can say, oh, this is kind of interesting and non-threatening. Maybe I'll explore it. I have a good association. I have a good feeling about it, right? And only then, well, let's rationally consider this, Mr. Spock. That happens to a tiny, tiny percentage of the stuff that you deal with every day. Because again, that's the expensive processing. That's having to consciously think. And my buddy Steve Krug, who was keynoted at our conference, wrote a fantastic book, if you don't have it, on basic web usability. And guess what the title of the book is? No, it's not Basic Web Usability, but thanks for playing. It's actually Don't Make Me Think, which is a great title. Who said Basic Web Usability? Was that you, Missy? I promised I wouldn't do that, but you know I'm a liar now. I didn't, at least it wasn't an overhand, like, you know, it wasn't my slider. Okay, it's called Don't Make Me Think, because again, that's the expensive part. We don't want to use that part. So understanding how the reptilian brain works is critical to your success. It does things the same way and never learns, folks. How many times do you want to say, God, I'm doing that again. I wish I'd stopped doing that, right? You just don't learn because that stuff's being controlled by your reptilian brain. It only cares about important, basic survival kind of stuff, and it serves as the bouncer for your other two brains. So you need to understand that. All right, let's move on to part 3. Why the fuck should I care about this? Have you guys been like sitting there waiting all this time for that and thinking that question? Who's been thinking that? Okay, this is the part where I give you some money-making hints and tips and strategies based on this stuff. Is that fair? Okay, all right. Tallest man in the world and the shortest man in the world that are still alive. Which one is the bigger one? Who's thinking, what are you, retarded, Tim? And I mean that with all due respect to retarded people. I don't mean that as an insult, seriously. It's obvious, right? Who's thinking it's obvious? Who's having a rough time with this? Most of you do. Who's awake? Wait, let's start there. Okay. Well, not too many. All right, that explains it. Okay. Who's having a tough time with this? Which is the bigger man? It's obvious. The big one, right? It's obvious. Thank you. There's no trick. You know, there's also no prize for getting that right. Okay. You're expected to pass this level. Okay, level up, level 2. Okay, now you're looking for promotional pens for your company. Pick one, quick. Which one are you picking? Yeah, top left. Yeah, probably because it's the default location, right? Are you actually considering all 12 choices you have? No. What would you do that based on? Well, there's one pen in one picture, right? There's only a single pen in this one picture, then there's 5 pens next to it. So what does that mean? I get a 5-pack or, I have no idea. But what if you showed me enlarged pictures where I could see the head of the pen and the tail of the pen, like enlarged with a lot of detail? Would that help you make your decision? Yeah, duh. So why do they all have skinny pen pictures? Which helps me not at all, right? Is that a clear choice in front of me? No. How many of you are doing this on your site or landing page right now? Who's got choices that aren't really choices? Make sure they stand out. Thank you for your honesty. Okay. Make sure they stand out. So what you need to know is that actually thinking about choices, especially comparing close choices, has been shown makes your brain tired, makes it harder to make subsequent decisions. Burns fuel. Okay? So a lot of times the right answer isn't to go, "Ugh." Sorry, I don't know how many of you did that this morning, but a lot of times the answer is not to throw up over your audience. If you're such an expert in whatever it is you're presenting to them, it's your job to edit it down, to make it clear. It's not to just say, here's the kitchen sink, you go figure it out. Like if you're on a search results page with e-commerce, it's real obvious, yeah, 17 pages of results, great. We expect you to scroll through them one by one. Has anybody ever gotten to page 17? Do you know what percentage of people go past the first page on Google in search results? Anybody? SEO people out there? 5%. 5% go past the first page. That means if you're not on the first page, you're invisible. But even on the first page, there's a ranking hierarchy. The top spots are much more valuable, which is why they pack them with paid ads. That's the part you see above the fold, right? So you don't want it to get lost. The important decisions or distinctions need to be clear. And that means if you have 2 similar choices, we often make the mistake of trying to be Amazon. Okay, who says, like, I'm the Amazon of my niche? Who's said that or heard that said? I'm the Walmart. Anybody? Right? So you hear this, and I have a newsflash for you. Don't do that. You can't be Walmart. You can't be Amazon. It's too late. You're the expert in it. You should know what's better and what's important and present me with some alternatives. Here's a mid-range camera, here's a cheap camera, and here's a pro-level camera. Okay, that I get. If you show me 16 mid-range cameras, that doesn't necessarily help me. So we carry everything in stock in the world. Well, it's bull because you drop ship it anyway, but that's not the point either. The point is, a lot of times, cutting back on the number of choices is a really, really powerful strategy. So don't try to put everything you possibly can in the mix. All right, number 2, use a big anchor. For you literal people out there, no, not this one. What do I mean? Okay, who are the irrational people that admit to being irrational in the room? Can you raise your hands again? Okay, we're all swayed by this irrational stuff. So let's take you to a web hosting page here. You can have any of these plans. You ready? Read from the way you'd normally read this page from left to right. Okay, we have a $250 a month plan, a $4 a month, and a $6 a month. Okay, what's the first one you saw? The $250, right? Now, that $6 plan better be a hell of a lot better, wouldn't you say? Because you've already seen the $250. Am I right? Is it 2.5 times as good? Well, that's what my rational brain is thinking. But I've been calibrated by that low number. Who ate out here while you were in Vegas? Anybody see a wine list? Was the top wine at the top of the wine list over $500? Do they expect you to buy it? You'd have to be a sucker. Who has? Okay, no. So, unless you have whining and dining clients, then it's kind of like we love you and we're so successful we don't care about dropping $500 on a bottle of wine. Right? What's the next one down? Oh, it's the Rodney Strong. That's only $75. Right? Good wine, good reputation. No one at the table is going to, think I'm an idiot for picking that. And never mind the fact that you can get it at Costco for $25, right? You're still way overpaying, but they have you calibrated to the $500, so the $75 seems like a veritable bargain. Am I right? When you buy a suit, so I walk into the tailor's or the suit store, and you know what they do? They say, oh, hey, can we show you suits? Oh, 42 regular, okay. Got a suit. Would you like a shirt with that? Would you like some cufflinks? Would you like some shoes? The suit's $1,000. Are you going to start by saying, would you like a $75 tie and then try to sell me a $1,000 suit? How well is that going to work? You've calibrated me irrationally to a low price. And I mean irrationally. Let me give you an example of irrationally. They had people, they asked them, what are the last 2 digits of your Social Security number? Okay? Last 2 digits. Think about what your Social Security number is. And for our Canadian friends, this is 51st state, you don't get those, so I understand. Okay. Social Security number, last 2 digits. Okay, now, if I had this nice Sony, well, you can't really, whoa, all that crazy stuff just went by. If I had a nice Sony laptop, slightly used, to sell you right now, think of a number you're willing to pay for it, okay? Really, nice high-end Sony laptop. Ready? Think about it in your mind. Do you know the staggering thing is? The ones of you that had a Social Security number ending in 9 something are willing to pay about 40% more than those who start with a 0. Is that stupid? Is it irrational? Is it true? Yes to all 3. So a lot of times you can prime people with a completely unrelated object or price or something, and that works really well. So as a tip, if you have multiple offering levels, how many of you have like gold, silver, bronze of something or other, right? Do it in that order, like we do on the Attention Wizard website. Gold, silver, bronze, because you look at the gold package, I don't know what it is yet, but it's $197. And then the bronze package, well, that's only 27 bucks. Well, that's the one we want you to buy anyway, but it certainly lowers the price resistance to go, geez, that's like 6 or 7 times cheaper, right? It's actually a better value to get the $200 package, but you'd have to be a pretty high volume user. But you put the highest price first. It's bracketing, it's anchoring. Okay. So you need to know about the big anchor is we anchor on the first thing we see. A lot of times it's irrational. So some strategies that you can try here is add another really high-end item that you don't expect anyone to buy. And it'll lower the price resistance to your current item at its current price, the one that's currently at your high end. Show them in decreasing price order, and then also basically kind of like bias them towards the one you want by manipulating the 2 prices, the one above and below that you want people to pick, so it seems like a better value. And again, use irrational anchors in the lobby of the experience. Maybe on the page, maybe prior to that page, anything to just say, why do you think on TV they say, well, normally this sells for $400, right? It's a chamois for cleaning my freaking car. A $400 value. Since when? But I'm anchored to that in the lobby. They said, before they tell me how much it's going to cost me, they tell me how much they think it's worth. Okay, well, every infomercial has that. And it's not a mistake. They have well-tested formulas in direct response. All right, number 3, being in my cultural tribe. How many of you here drive a Honda? Okay. How many of you here drive a BMW? Okay, BMW people, keep your hand raised if you would switch to a Honda. You would? You would switch to a Honda? Probably not. Come on, be honest, Missy. Okay, all right, yeah, okay. No. Because you know why? Because it is the ultimate driving machine, yeah. Yeah, you bought into that, didn't you? Yeah, it drives differently than a Honda, I'll give you that. I drive a Honda, but we don't have to have a jihad about this, You can have your BMW. You're welcome to overpay anytime you want to. No, okay, no, I'm just giving you crap because I can. But my point is, BMW drivers, a cultural tribe. Anybody here drive a Bentley? Why are you even talking to us little people? Right? Anybody ashamed because they have, I don't know, a Yugo? Anybody drive? No, they wouldn't admit it anyway, right? But you see what I mean? Everyone's got their cultural tribe. Pink hair tribe. Stand up, please. Don't be shy, because if you wanted to be shy, you wouldn't have colored it that color, right? Give her a hand, folks. Person that wants to stand out by declaring something with their hair color. Some tribes are involuntary. Some tribes are, well, don't answer this, but, who here is an orphan or a child of divorce? I mean, these aren't choices you make, right? Some tribes are involuntary, and we're there just by our membership in them is kind of automatic, right? So you can think of our identity as really just kind of a bunch of tribal layers and associations. So we had a discussion at lunch. Florida State or Florida? My answer is who gives a shit, but anyway. No, okay. Floridians, a lot of you here. There seems to be two pockets. People from Vancouver and people from Florida. What does that say? I don't know, but that's kind of what I figured out. That's your demographic. But think about it. All of these are things that you feel passionately about. They provoke that emotional response. So this is kind of more talking about the midbrain now, the emotional part, our social part. And I'm here to kind of give you some, here's an example of it. So who reads the oatmeal? Okay, do you people also listen to NPR? Yeah, okay, you know why? Because this is like funny, hip, kind of New Yorker type cartoons and little ebooks and stuff like that. And what can you tell about them just from the look of their site? The editorial tone, the handwritten fonts, the little funny cartoons, right? The little puns. It's like, we're smart, but we're not so smart that we can't laugh at ourselves, right? That's their target audience, right? Who does that appeal to in here? Be honest. Yeah, a few of us, okay. How about now? Gears of war. I will kill you. You will be terminated. This is aimed at 15-year-old boys, right? Anybody have kids that play this? Okay, anybody here plays this? Sorry, okay, thank you. Casey. Should have known, okay. But seriously, does this appeal to you? This dark, gothic, foreboding, post-apocalyptic, dystopia that they're trying to sell you? Yeah, if you want to blow some shit up. But is that my cultural tribe? No. Okay, any of the folks that like the oatmeal, raise your hand if you also like Gears of War. Oh, Casey again. You're a mutant, man. Are you sure you're from planet Earth? Okay. Casey's an unusual guy. That's why we get along. Okay. But my general point is most of us don't fall into some of these, mutually exclusive groups. And that it's okay to appeal to your audience. Now, do you remember, sorry, when we had the unfortunate, school shooting in Connecticut, about a week later, they were hiding out for a while, but the NRA guys were laying low, and then LaPierre, who's the head of it, comes out, and he's on some news show, and he's talking about, well, if we start registering guns, and then the government will, if they want to confiscate them all at some point, have a national gun registry. And, so national background checks are just a stepping stone to that. Okay. Who agrees with that statement? And I know it's politically charged, just raise your hand if you agree. Okay. Who strongly disagrees with that statement? Okay. I own guns, and I strongly disagree with that statement. I think no rational person, if you expect me to have a car and pass a background check to make sure I don't have a criminal background, or a driver's test, why the same thing wouldn't be required to own a gun, right? But you know what? He wasn't talking to me. He didn't give a shit about my opinion. He was reinforcing his base. The only people he cared about were NRA supporters, and he was on message for them. You guys don't matter. Okay, how many of you in the last election voted? Okay, now keep your hand up if you were in Ohio. None of your votes mattered, folks. Look around. Okay, this was decided in Ohio, in a few counties in Ohio. So unless you voted in one of those, I voted in California. It goes blue every time. Doesn't matter. My vote didn't matter. Yours didn't either. It's all a puppet show. But okay, anyway, that's another diatribe. But my point is that, when they're talking, when they all do that massive spending on campaigns, they're talking to the undecideds, the target audience in the undecideds in the target audience. And just remember, when you have your demographic, your site, your cultural tribe, you should be talking to them only. Okay, that's really, really important thing. In other words, here's a recap. People are tribal. Some tribes are self-selected. You can't do anything about them. We care a lot about the opinion of our peers in those tribes, okay? So the important thing from your perspective is look the part, visually, editorially, the language you use. And here's the most interesting part. I really want you to think about this. Don't worry about alienating people outside of your target group. You don't have to be on message for them. In fact, you have to tighten down your message to be on message for your cultural tribe. So don't let the marketers take over. You know, I mean, we redesigned our website, and our director of marketing did a copy pass through the whole thing. And it's like, you know, world's leading solution provider for blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this doesn't even say what we do. This is just generic mamby-pamby marketing happy talk. Right? How many of you are putting that out on your websites? Speak to your audience. Find some representatives of your target audience. Ask them what they care about. What a concept. Okay. All right. Now, I've already told you about the power of visuals, right? We've discussed that a little bit, and you know, visuals are kind of an important part of coordination and being able to catch a ball. Yes. I want to talk to you about the power of visuals. Shout out to Cleverbridge and ROI DNA. I took runner-up at their poker tournament last night. Do you see this picture? Does it tell you a whole story? There's three guys. One's holding the really big box. One's holding the medium box. One's holding the little box. Can you tell that I was in a poker tournament and I won second place? That's a lot for one little picture, isn't it? Think about that. Think of all the information that we're able to kind of add to that visual representation. So a picture's worth 1,000 words, or some stories, some pictures are better at telling stories than others. This is really, really powerful stuff. By the way, heads-up action, equal size stacks. I have a king-queen suited. I push all in. Fucker's got a king-ace. Bad beat, I'm sorry. Okay, anyway. This is Facebook as it looked like 2 years ago. A lot like LinkedIn looks now, right? A few little pictures. This is Facebook, my wife's profile, about a year ago. See how it's getting more visual? Your avatar picture got better, got bigger. There's a picture in the news feed that's, you know, decent size of my wife and our daughter. Look at it a week ago. You see how much more visual it's getting? You get your avatar photo, you get the giant backdrop wallpaper, and there's Jennifer Myers-Ward. Are you in the room? Oh, okay. From the last year's affiliate summit out here. We're on a panel together. So wait, Mike, are you in the room? There you go, that's Mike on the end with the glasses in the picture. So we're on a panel, and but you get the big picture. And you know what? I take a lot of pictures at these shows, and I post them all, and people love looking at pictures themselves. Pictures are the killer app. How many of you have heard in the session here about Pinterest or Instagram? How you should be all over those. They're just exploding, right? You're used to these kind of internet startups that blow up to hundreds of millions of users, but not as quickly as this stuff. And people have finally figured out that pictures are at the heart of the matter. They're really, really important. Video is better, okay? But video requires a lot of time. Pictures lets us be the editor to decide how much time we spend looking at each one and to do it in any order we want. So it's really handy for us ADD types. So one thing I want you to know, and you don't have to go through the biology of the visual system, the thing you need to understand is most of your brain, over half of your brain, is devoted to visual processing of some sort. Most of your brain is devoted to visual processing. It dominates the other senses. Okay. So let's talk about why it's important. Who remembers 7th grade biology? All right, backup question. Who got that far? All right, good. Rods and cones, do you remember this? On the back of your eye, behind the blood vessels, there is this matrix of little sensors. And there are the cones, which basically can tell color and fine detail, and they're the rods, okay? So they work very differently. Think about it. Your eye is very, very specialized hardware. It took a long time to evolve. It's very expensive. You do have a backup, right? Most animals have 2. And it actually doesn't work very well. Hold out your hand at arm's length like this and look at your thumbnail. Okay, go ahead, do it. I can see you. Okay, now your thumbnail is the only thing in focus. Everything else is blurry around it. Just keep looking at the thumbnail. You only have 2 degrees of visual acuity for color and fine detail. That's it. In other words, you have to move the eye around to get fine detail. But cones, or rather rods, are different beast altogether. Go ahead and put your hands out like this. Try not to slap the people next to you. Okay, straight out. Now face your hands forward and wiggle your fingertips while looking straight ahead. Can you see them? Well, unless you have like glaucoma or something, I mean, you should be able to. This is actually 220 degrees of visual field. You can detect motion. You know why? Tiger! Tiger alert. Okay, it's really important for me to know when he's about to jump out at me. It's not the same as looking at the mushroom and thinking, oh, is this the poisonous one? I can spend all day deciding that. But tiger, I need to know now. Okay? Do I need that in full color? No. Do I need to know what it is? No. I just need to know there's motion in the scene. And we have 220 degrees of motion detection. So when you actually look at the world, this is what it looks like by default. And then what your brain does is it jitters your eyeball. It has these automatic spastic movements called saccades that point into different places in the scene where there's visually interesting things going on. And then it moves on. And these are like instantaneous. Okay? And your eyeball is spastically spinning right now. And you don't know that because your brain is making it into a stable picture. And you think the world actually looks like that. It has no permanence, folks. It's just your eyeball jittering around. Okay? So we kind of get our cake and eat it too. Or it's a compromise. Okay, so let's see why this is bad in reality or on your website or on your landing page, more to the point. Okay, it's going to be a quiz here after this. So what is this store about? Okay, large screen TVs. Oh, wait. What is this store about? Vacuum cleaners, yes. What is this store about? Appliances. Wait, this is like Sears Appliance Central all of a sudden, right? No, wait. Okay, what is it about now? Xbox. Okay, how about now? Yeah, who's ashamed that they don't have a smartphone? Get one. It's really, they're not that expensive. Sorry, ma'am. Okay, here's the pop quiz part. How many of you noticed what the object was in the lower right of the page this whole time? Oh, you mean that camera? You mean that camera? What's wrong with you people? You've been looking at that page for 30 seconds already. There's nothing wrong with you. But your eye kept getting reset by the motion. You had no choice but to look at it. The reptilian brain goes, oh, should I run from it, fight, eat it, or fuck it? That's what it's thinking. Oh, another frame. Oh, wait, it's another stupid commercial that somebody's trying to force feed down my throat. Okay, let me try to wander off and do something else. Whoa! Okay, back here, what's this one? And every 2-3 seconds, you keep doing that. You keep jerking my attention involuntarily, automatically. Remember, the reptilian brain does not learn. It detects motion. It's going to look at it. Okay? And you're doing that, and you've completely destroyed my visual experience of the page. You've made it impossible to prioritize anything except that motion. It's basically the web equivalent of dropping a hand grenade into the middle of your page. I mean, anything within the blast radius will not stand. Okay? That's what you're doing. How many of you have rotating, sliding, diffusing, something kind of banners in your prime real estate? Okay, get rid of them. There's a whole section in my book where I say why they're evil. This is just one of many, but it's a pretty fundamental one. So, how many of you have deployed video on your site? Okay, quite a few are experimenting with it. Good. Now, how many of you have seen autoplay videos? You ever seen one of Frank Kern's landing pages? It's just a video, and you get there and it starts playing, right? You don't want to do that when you're in your cubicle at work because it starts with sound on and everything. So this is the Conversion Conference website, and we have a little teaser video in the lower left there. You can see it. What I recommend are Facebook-like thumbnails, okay? And once you have that, that indicates a video. We're all used to that postage stamp size with the little play button, but it has a lot of advantages. It serves as an indicator of what the content is. It lets you handpick the image you want on it instead of just some random freeze frame from the video. And it also lets you design the page around it without the constraint of having this giant embedded viewer in the page, which is like a boulder in a river, you know, that the current has to flow around. And it lets me control the action. I don't want it to start auto-playing. Okay? I want to be able to control the experience. And then it comes up in a nice lightbox popover, full resolution. You're still on the page. You know, you just dismiss it if you're done with it. That's how I recommend using video. But did you notice we didn't auto-play it or do anything crazy? How many of you have seen there was a company here that's one of your exhibitors that does the video spokespeople? Like the live video. Do you know the name of it? Okay, well, that's their branding problem. I just thought I'd give them a shout out. But you know, you have the video spokespeople. They come on from the lower right corner of the screen. They say a few things. It's either waist up or full body, and then they leave. That can be very effective, by the way, if it's used properly. A lot of times we use it as a 10, 15-second teaser to then engage them in a 1 or 2 minute video. And then after having watched that, then they're ready or educated enough to act on whatever the offer is. But again, it's going to draw your attention. You can't not look at a little talking person that comes out and does something to you, right? Ironically, Camtasia is a software for creating a lot of web videos. Who uses Camtasia? It's great software, right? It's really easy to use. Do you know where the video is on this page? Who's still awake? Sorry. Huh? So does anybody know where the video is? Oh, isn't it obvious? No, it wasn't obvious. It doesn't look like a video player at all, does it? It's a button. And they have, ironically, you know, nice big graphics to the right of the screen that look like screenshots with play buttons on them, right? So you're probably thinking that's videos. So you have to have the right visual cues. You don't want to go too far in the dumb it down or make it unobtrusive direction. Okay, but you know, video is something that you really have to be careful of, and you make sure that you're doing it right. What are you looking at? Huh? Guy's face, right. Which guy? The guy that's smiling, right? You know why? He's facing you. So in our emotional midbrain, we have the general kind of image processing system in the brain. We also have a special little dedicated part right near the emotional processing center that's there to recognize human faces. And it works twice as fast as the other object recognition stuff. By the way, it won't work upside down, but it will in monkeys that hang off of trees branches routinely by their tails. Okay? Ours only works right side up. Okay? But we're going to look at faces. They're a really rich source of information in the environment. Yeah. Do you think I'm going to shank you if we're in a prison shower together? You don't know, do you? Because I'm crazy like that. Right? But do you see how much you could read just from facial expressions? I'll do it too. Eastern promises. You know, no, I'm sorry. We will look at faces. And so you can use faces for good or evil. This is using faces for evil. Does anybody know what the call to action on this page is? Join the club. I don't either. You look at one guy, you look at sideways dude, you look at tiny gray-haired guy, you know, but you're not, has anybody read any text? Is there any evidence of a call to action? No. You know, this is, a friend of mine calls this business porn. You know, just like gratuitous stock photography. That's all it is. By the way, tweet this if you like it, ASW13 and Tim_Ash. Business porn. I know you went to iStock Photo. I know you paid $1 for it. I could have done that too. I'm not impressed. Unless it's directly tied to your product or service, unless it's showing your brand spokesperson or your actual customers, don't just use generic images. They're going to distract from the call to action. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't use faces. My friend Amy Africa, who's really, really smart about this stuff because she's hands-on with it all the time, she like got neural scanning machinery, and she found out how the Israeli commandos interrogate prisoners, and she does all this in the name of online marketing research. But she said to us about after our website redesign, you need to put your head back on it, because you're the brand, for better or for worse, right? But you think, okay, is that just is that my megalomania taking over, and just I wanted a picture of myself on the website? Some people know me might think so, but it's not true. No, Missy, no. The answer is really no. But next to it is an orange button that says put us to work. So that picture is drawing attention to the button. Do you see that? That's our universal call to action. If you don't like what you see on the page, or if you're ready to engage with us, you will see that, no matter what, okay? But look at the page itself. You notice how the surrounding part is dark? All the periphery, the navigation, the header, the sides. You know where the high contrast white portion of the page is. There's an anchoring graphic, a physical object, a Batmobile, or actually it's a McLaren, and then an orange button right below it. So do you see how the picture, faces, or any strong graphics is being used to bring you to the important call to action on the page? That's using it for good. This is business porn. So if you're going to kind of get more involved with this visual stuff, there are three main approaches to understanding it. Who's got more money than God? Besides you guys. No, I'm sorry. Okay, sir? You have more money than God? Okay, you need to do eye tracking studies. Okay, because you're going to need more money than God to do them. Okay, so you set people up in front of monitors, you watch where their eyes move, and you get a wealth of information about that. Okay, where they fixate, how long they stay on it, what order they look at things, and you can do a lot of amazing stuff with this kind of data. Okay, as soon as you get the equipment and line up the test subjects and record them all and review them all and all of that. Okay, so knock yourself out. Cheap man's eye tracking. Mouse movement tracking. Do you know that a certain percentage of people will actually use their mouse as a pointer when they're on a web browser? They use it to kind of point to what they're looking at. It's true. It's a tiny percentage of people, but it's enough in aggregate when you've seen a lot of people go through your page where you'll get these kind of hazy, ghosty images that show you where people are basically paying attention. Kind of interesting, huh? Now you can get really cheap man's eye tracking, cheap person's eye tracking, from Crazy Egg, for example, or there's a really nice in-page analytics package from a company called ClickTail out of Israel, much more sophisticated, but one of the features is this mouse movement recording, and it'll tell you a lot. If you put something on the page, do people actually see it, interact with it? It's really powerful stuff. But what if you don't have that? Well, then the only choice is to use software to kind of predict where visual attention is going to go. And we have developed something, this is not a shameless plug, I make a whole penny if you do our free trial, okay? So we've developed the ability to upload an image and basically predict where someone's going to look during the first few seconds. It's not conscious processing, they're not reading your headline or thinking about your value prop, but basically where are they focusing? And this is one of, who knows Gary for Market Health? Gary? Okay, well, you've seen, you all have their bags, I assure you of that, okay? But anyway, one of their offers was Idle White, this tooth whitening stuff. And they put a giant picture of attractive models on it. Guess where my attention went in the heat map, all that green stuff? To the giant pictures of attractive models. Not very much went to the call to action button. It went to the giant arrow that said risk-free, but basically it allows me to fine-tune the page. And we did a subsequent test of this for them and improved performance a lot by eliminating those visual distractions. So does this work as well as eye tracking? No, but it's, you can have it instantly. You can have it with pages that aren't even live. Just upload an image and you get a heat map. So here's what you need to know about visual processing in the brain. It's really fast. It takes a lot of processing power, and it's very powerful. So if you're going to use visuals, use them for good. Use them to support your calls to action. And get away from all of the gratuitous graphics. Get away from, how would I put it? How many of you here are graphic designers or involved in the creative part of your site or landing pages? Okay, shut your ears. Okay, I'm going to be talking to your bosses. How many of you oversee folks like that? Okay, graphic designers, I speak from experience, are frustrated artists. Nobody said, I want to do cascading style sheets when they were growing up. They want to do art. But you can't make a living at that. There are a lot of talented people with a lot of time on their hands. So they are forced to do web design. But they're keeping themselves from being bored, right? Oh man, that same button that says submit again, I don't want to do that for the 100th time. I'll animate it and make some gel stuff on it, right? And a highlight. And a blinking casino behind it, right? You with me? Anything to get bored. But what I'm telling you guys is when you manage creative people, or if you are a creative person, think inside the box. I'm serious. The box is the profits, the bank vault where the company puts its money. Think inside the box. I don't care what you do on the weekends, go to a rave, get your nipple pierced, whatever. But when you come back on Monday morning, yes, I really did say that. Sorry, it's Tourette's. When you come back on Monday morning, I want to make sure that you are doing what's best from the visitor's perspective. And a lot of times that means bland and boring. And the way you focus visual attention is often by turning down the surrounding noise, by not having a lot of competing visual stimuli on the page. All right, so create a small number of clear choices. Use a big anchor, be in my cultural tribe, and understand the power of visuals. Okay, I've tried to give a lot. I haven't stopped to think about this too much, but I want you guys to hopefully come along on this journey with me and then come back to this. I designed this myself. I'm really proud of it. You see that frustrated artist I was talking about? Who can decipher my hieroglyphic? There's nothing new under the sun. That's right. It's all old stuff. So don't look out here for answers. It's not out there. And don't look to technology for answers. I don't care if we go to, 140 character this, or, IP lookup that, or geo-targeting, or, JavaScript, or Ruby on Rails. I don't care about any of that stuff. That's technology. And it's in the service of psychology, because your brain doesn't change. Your brain is the same old stuff. And you guys have been ignoring it. It's almost like we're so caught up. Like, this is the revolution. This is the internet revolution. Who's with me? Woo! Who's with me? Right? It's not true. I mean, yes, it's true. It's as big as a discontinuity as the printing press was, probably even more, in accelerating the rate of change of everything. But it's not about the technology. It's not about the hardware. It's about the wetware, folks. This is the last frontier, 100 billion interconnected neurons inside of your skull. And we're actually cracking the lid on it. And we're able to, in real time, image it. And we're able to actually tell how people respond to marketing stimuli, specifically in the face of it. So I have some homework assignments for you. These are books you need to go and get right now. Okay? Susan Weinschenk is a really smart lady, worked at Human Factors International, and has wrote basically a summary of all the latest neuromarketing research. It's called 100 Things Every Designer Needs to Know About People. You'll recognize it by the dots on the cover. Roger Dooley's also spoke at a conversion conference, wrote a book called Brainfluence, very much along the same lines. A lot of this stuff about price anchoring, and I stole directly from him in his summary of research studies. Martin Lindstrom, Biology, is a great book. Again, he bought some imaging equipment and stuck people inside of it and asked them marketing kind of stuff. And finally, of course, Dr. Cialdini, who keynoted here in the past, if you want to get more to the mammalian part of the brain, the emotional persuasion, the psychology of it, this is the Bible, folks. It's called Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. My own book covers this along with a lot of other stuff. So I want to give you some stuff. I want to give you about 40 copies of my book. We're going to do a quick Q&A. Do we have time? We have 5 minutes for Q&A? Okay. And while we're doing the questions, you can come up to the mics, or we're going to have some mic runners. Also, as the people come by, we're going to have a couple of folks running it. Take your business cards, and we'll do a quick raffle. I'll announce them right away, and I'll personalize and sign those books for you. I also want to give away one of our Express reviews. You can do this anytime. We record it via GoToMeeting and send you the video. It's an interactive critique of your site. I'll conduct it personally. And finally, for those of you that aren't aware yet of the conversion conference, we have our 2013 date set. I'm going to give away 3 fully transferable passes to one of the 2013 US events. Actually, screw that. I won't even restrict that to any of them. So if you want to go to London or to Berlin, if you speak German, I'll give away 3 passes to the conference of your choice. Okay? So at this point, I just want you to know I'm easily reachable. I will be glad to answer some questions, and we have the mic folks on the end, so just raise your hand if you want to ask a question. We want to make sure we get it on the video recording. Okay, we have one gentleman over there. I don't see anybody else. Kind of hard to see with the lights. Yep.
Hi, Tim. Thank you very much for the wonderful information. You mentioned about the pricing, displaying the higher price first and then displaying the lower price after that. How would you say that a price comparison website, which is displaying 20 merchants offering the same products, and we want to display the lowest price first so user sees that, but we're talking about the same product. How does that apply?
That's a little different. Comparison or price shopping sites, my intent is very different. How I'm going to experience the page is different. I'm there to find the lowest price. So yeah, don't start highest price first. The default order should be lowest price. Absolutely. Yep.
Sorry, just follow up on that. So does it help if we display another product which is related to the same product but is actually very expensive as compared to that product?
A more expensive cross-sell usually won't work. That's why it's important to show the expensive stuff first, and then cheaper cross-sells might work. Yeah. Yes.
Like the Best Buy show that had the flashing, I have the pretty much same problem with my website as Best Buy does.
You're not alone. Raise your hand and say, what's your name?
Penny.
Okay, everybody say, welcome, Penny. Okay, yeah, you're not alone.
I'm selling a lot of different products. Would you put a picture of all the products in one picture instead of having them flash? Or
never rotate. If your point is to say we have a lot of inventory, yeah, have a collage shot of everything you carry. That's fine. In fact, we recommend in e-commerce scenarios that you don't confuse individual products with categories. So you should always have category level pictures, which is a collage of really disparate stuff in that category, stuff that looks very different, the extremes, okay? And put them all together in one picture. That represents categoriness. I know that's not a word. And doesn't confuse people about whether it's an individual object, too. Okay. Anybody on this side? Yes, over here.
Great presentation. Thank you. I'm in the healthy meal delivery service, and we have a variety of product lines with a variety of product price points. So how would you display those like that kind of setup for getting the buyer to get to buy?
So that's a great question. You look at it. The problem with your question is your assumption, which is that you're looking at it from outside of the inside of your company and facing out at the world. We have crap to sell you. Here's 10 craps.
Right.
Right?
And then 10 craps at 10 different price points by buying different.
So what you need to do is flip the whole thing inside out and look at it from a user-centered perspective. Try to match my intent. What are the important roles of people coming to your site? What tasks are they trying to accomplish? Okay? And with those blinders on, how do I make it appealing to them? So the first thing you should be doing is segmenting me. You said meal delivery service?
Right. So imagine, but the thing is, you can buy a 31-day subscription, a 15-day subscription, a year-long subscription, and each one of those have a different sell or price point.
Yeah. Well, you know what? But that probably doesn't matter as much to me as why I need it.
Right. Okay. So that's my job.
So no, if I'm disabled and I can't get out of my bed.
Right.
That's one reason I need it. I have special dietary needs and no one to cook for me. That's another scenario, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm just using those I just pulled those out of thin air, but it's intent-based.
Right.
The #1 driver of conversion, write this down or tweet it or do whatever you want with it. The #1 driver of conversion is matching your visitor's intent.
Now the problem comes in when we have many different visitor intents, because we have a program, for example, that may be the paleo program. That's one program, or an organic program, a vegetarian. So you have many different intents of people.
Well, yeah, but then you can group those into special food needs or special dietary restrictions. Okay, then go off and go vegan, go kosher, or whatever off of that. Okay.
And then focus on
So you can, as long as you drill down, remember I was talking about a small number of clear choices?
Right.
Is it dietary needs or mobility problems? At the top level, that might be your audience. Okay, and then within specific dietary needs for health or for religious beliefs. Okay, you see, it's another easy decomposition. So anytime you present me with those choices, it's okay, in other words, to take me deeper into kind of a decision tree, if you will, or a set of choices, as long as at each step I have a small and clear and distinct, non-overlapping set of choices. That's really the critical part.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we have in the middle here, the gentleman in the white shirt. And we'll take a couple more after this, and then we'll have if the mic runners, if you wouldn't mind hitting every table and getting business cards, then I'll just call out the names right away after we're done. Yes?
Hey, Tim. On your example here, this market health one, do you really recommend getting rid of the big images that's going to sell that short copy right there? I mean, kind of like you did with your poker example, that one image sells their whole product. It's a pretty standard lead.
Okay, I'm not saying don't use images, but use images in context, okay? Don't use the generic gray-haired, happy couple to sell the retirement community. Show actual people in your retirement community. Go to the extra care of shooting them with the professional photographer. I'm just saying don't use generic stuff.
Right.
I'm not saying images are bad. Pictures of people will evoke a strong emotional reaction, but you should make sure that it's what you intended to be, I guess. Yes, same table.
Great presentation. I have a basic question about your, you said you have a picture with a call to action button there. And did you choose the color on purpose? Because I know, for example, you shouldn't paint your kitchen green because it stimulates your desire to eat something.
Yeah, different colors mean different things to people culturally or just associations. In terms of just getting noticed, it's unusual colors. So for example, green, well, do you see green in a normal environment? Yeah, green grass, trees. I mean, well, not if you live in an urban jungle, but normally how we evolved, right? Blue sky, green, those are very common. When do you see orange? Maybe an occasional flower or 5 minutes when the sky is clear before sunset, right? You go, wow, what beautiful clouds. It's really rare. So, I'd say in general, orange is more noticeable than green. But all this stuff about button colors, I mean, folks, it doesn't matter. Test it. The main thing is really the visual emphasis compared to everything else on the page and the contrast. If you have a color theme and one complementary accent color that's on the opposite side of the color wheel than everything you're testing, or the rest of the page, that should work just fine. If it's not about absolute colors, we work, red is generally a really bad button color. It means danger or warning, right? Well, for Red Envelope and Verizon Wireless and Canon, those worked really well, because guess what? That's also their brand color. So there are no absolutes in color, but it's important to have, like I say, a clear visual hierarchy. That button or call to action should stand out and shouldn't look like anything else on the page. Okay, I think we have time for 2 more. Do we have a question over here?
Hi, yes. I'm affiliate, so I don't own the merchandise, so just putting that up front so you understand.
Okay.
It's an online store that's a brand magazine. So my question is it best to the front page be like a editorial magazine where there's obviously buttons and there's the displays of stuff there, or just get straight to it, go?
All right, this is a great question and perhaps the best one to close on. I'm going to translate this into something that I commonly talk about, which is we're all greedy marketers. Raise your hand right now. Now all the way up, I can see you, sir. Raise your hand. Say, I am a greedy marketer. Okay, no, let's do it again. We're going to be here all day. I am a greedy marketer. Okay, all right, now I believe you. We're greedy marketers because we want to take that sales funnel and squeeze the bottom of it. We want to make the dollar signs come out, right? I won't get a commission unless they fill out this form. Well, for a lot of times, the problem is your content, and it's your call to action, and it's your business strategy. If you're going to add real value as an affiliate, a lot of times that revolves around educating people that are higher up in the funnel. And guess what, folks? There are a lot more of them up here than down here. So if you get the right, for example, to talk to me while I'm at this research stage or consideration stage, and then have an ongoing dialogue with me via email and give me value and educate me, you probably double, triple your conversion rate at the bottom of the funnel. Right, great. So that's you should be doing full funnel marketing. And when I get to your site, you should basically do what we call the engagement continuum, from least engaged to more engaged. Okay, what kind of topic do you have again, ma'am? Selling curated artists? Items. Okay, what do you mean by that? Okay, unique and chic products from around the world. Let's just say it's like furniture, for example. I know you probably don't sell it. Okay, so you say 7 biggest mistakes when buying custom-built furniture. Download the ebook. Well, yeah, I know you don't, but you might need to get, well, not furniture, but I mean, but what you're doing is you're helping educate me at an early stage about what I should know. Download that ebook, you got my email. Now you also know the topic I'm interested in, and you can communicate to me tips for buying the best, handmade furniture, and here's some, special offer we have this week, okay? You have an ongoing dialogue. I trust you because you're giving me valuable content. If you look at our monthly newsletter, it's all tips and tricks and webinar replays and what shows we're going to be speaking at. It's all educational because that's the early stage stuff. And you should be doing that too. Anybody who's ignoring the 95% at the top of your funnel, you're making a big mistake. So a lot of times the problem isn't what you're selling, it's your call to action. You only have one for the folks at the bottom of the funnel, and you need to have calls to action for people higher up. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to end on that. So if we could have if you're interested in the book, Express Review, or Conversion Conference Pass Drawing, we're going to do that in the back. Raise your hand, and we'll have the mic runners kind of run the room if you guys don't mind and get them. And you may already be a winner. That's all I have. I'll be around the rest of the afternoon if anyone wants to stay after the signing. I'll be glad to answer as many questions as you want to lay on me. Thank you.